Hey friends, welcome to Moxie Gardens. I'm Mike Toomey, and today we're going to do a little tour, get you updated on what's going on. Then after this, I'm running down to downtown Kansas City. I've got a gate that I'm going to be picking up. I found it on Facebook Marketplace. I'm so excited about it. We're going to add that to the west side of our property. That's going to help create some magic back there. Anyway, I wanted to kind of start right here and just show you our neighbors. We're in our neighbor's backyard. So their backyard is our front yard. But I just want to show you their view. It's absolutely gorgeous what we've done for them. And so if you're wondering what you can do in your landscape, not only do you contribute from it, but your neighbors do as well. This is absolutely beautiful. He just put in a brand new fence and it looks really good. I really like that red. It was so charming up against the all the different colors that are in our garden. But nonetheless, I think he's going to go back and stain it. There's some question whether he wants to do it or not, but I thought this would be a great opportunity. You can see right here, though, I've got a dead dappled willow. I'm going to shave that down here soon, and hopefully, it'll inspire and give the opportunity for some new growth to come through. We'll see. But when we go around, I want you to take a look at the dappled willow that I need to shave back from the sidewalk. I do a lot of trimming. I know on that dappled willow you should just let it grow freely and whatnot, but I have to shear it back because it does kind of go into the sidewalk, and so we'll get it cleaned up. But I want you to look at the remarkable color that it adds. But I'm gonna step out of the video. Am I out? Okay, just look at their backyard. It's so amazing. I always think that when I look at here, it always looks like I'm in the mountains for some reason. It's a really good look. It looks so layered. Can you come over here just a little bit and kind of pan down that way? Anyway, I think that's beautiful. I think it's great how it's all turned out. You've got so many colors, and the good thing about from their area is pretty much it's all evergreen. There's a couple deciduous plant trees and shrubs in there, but for the most part they have this look all season long. So beautiful piece. They've got a couple, you don't have to go into it, but they got a couple maples that's going to romance this area eventually one day, and then they've got some Bradford pears. They've already started to lose it. I don't want to be negative, but if you pan to the bottom of their tree, her and I, those people, we've talked about it before, but they've lost a couple. If you look over there, you can see a circle little piece right there, looks like a little garden spot right there. Well, that was a Bradford pear, and not only do they break and they're fragile in storms, but they're super fragile in storms whenever you plant up all that soil and whatnot. So if you look at all that soil, they've done it a lot, and I've asked them for permission to share this with you guys, but all that soil's built up and those rocks. So, and I know that's kind of one of the things that people just automatically do because it looks charming and it's great, but honestly we're depleting that tree's health by pulling all that soil and building all those plants and those rocks around there. And so when that flare, you don't want to cover up the tree's flare. So if you're new to gardening, where the tree comes and it starts to flare out, try to avoid stacking mulch and soil and that whatnot's there. We're going to kind of compete with the wind for a few minutes, so hopefully this is not deterring you from watching the video. This is the dappled willow. I think it's gorgeous. I love the way all the colors play on it. Okay, now we're going into our garden. Again, I did ask for permission to ask them if I could go onto their property to share that information, but they're such a sweet family, and they give us the opportunity to go over there and help them. They've asked a lot of questions. Anyway, moving on. You can see here, we've got a nice little swoop. If you're brand new to gardening or you're trying to figure out some type of way to add curb appeal, get you a nice little swoop right there, a soft swoop of edging right there. If you go and you try to, get it too wiggly, too much, it can almost look too busy. So a nice swoop, simple. All that is stacked stone on the ground, and I think it turned out so well. I can't remember the name of that stone color, but it's really, really sharp. So many people are like, I wish I could garden like you do. I don't have big enough property. Guys, this property is very small, very narrow. We've just added a ton of layer and trees and shrubs. It gives the illusion that this garden is way bigger than it is. Don't oversell it. You guys can all garden. This property from where we have that dappled willow just to the garage is probably 30 feet, maybe 40 feet. So, and then the depth from this spot to our neighbors back there, I think it's roughly about 20, maybe 15. So just in this little space, let's just say it was 20 by 50. If you have that much property in your backyard or your front yard, there's so many opportunities you can do. Look at this right here. We have an Eastern redbud. It just softens up this whole edge, kind of blocks out my neighbors in the front. So when we're sitting on our property up here on the deck, we're looking over here, this dappled willow, our redbud, all of our conifers there, they just all do a nice job of making us feel like we're in a secluded, nice little property here. And so with just that little bit of space, we've done an illusion where everybody around us thinks, oh gosh, if I had that much property, I would do great things. Give yourself more credit than that. Get out there and just try it. Like a nice little swoop in the border, nice little conifers and deciduous trees can really, really stand out. I've got some planters. If you remember, we've been talking about our planters for some time. I need to come in here and fill these up, but I just haven't got to it. We've got so many projects. I really am fearful that it's going to be midsummer before I get into a lot of these. I'm just trying to find the right plants to put in here at the same time, trying to knock out some other projects that we've got going on. If it was graduation week, this would have been filled up. This would have been the first thing, but the curb appeal is pretty big to me. I don't want people to just drive by and be like, it's nice property except for, so I'm kind of stuck in limbo right here by filling them up. Jesse, you remember what this is called? Shoes. Guys, she's so good at remembering this stuff. But it's starting to bloom. It's in a lot more shade than it wants. This thing can handle 8+ hours of direct sun and kind of neglect. And when I mean neglect, you don't have to water it. You don't have to get out there and trim it up. There's not very many things that you would need to do to it. Now it's sitting under a bunch of trees. It only gets probably 2 hours of sun, and it's not even going to be direct sun. You can see it's coming out here. If you've watched any of my other videos, I've talked about sometimes ignoring how much sunlight, how much indirect light things need. Sometimes if you just plant stuff in, for me, if I plant something up close to the north side of my home and I know it wants at least 4 hours of sun and it's not going to affect the blooms, I don't mind planting it in a shady area because I know it's going to reach. And when it reaches, and what I mean when the plant starts to kind of creep its way towards getting just a little bit of light, it adds another element. So an element to the design. So I can go simply plant something that should be upright or, you know, something rounding habit, but then I put it around the pond, I put it around a border's edge, and it pulls itself to the open space to get this light. Now this wants 8 hours, this, or 6+ hours. I can affect its actual bloom rate. And that's what I don't want to do. So I would tell you, if you got something that needs 6+ hours, roses, that type of thing, these right here, these black lace, you can affect its bloom, but I'm not actually carrying this plant for its bloom, even though it's elegant. I'm really trying to get this foliage, this black foliage in here. It feels like a Japanese maple, but a black version. And so we're really kind of pulling it out. If you want to zoom in here, Jess, or come up here, I think it's gorgeous. And the way these, hopefully I can do this, but look at the new growth right here, coupled with the leaf color and the structure of the leaf. I just think it's so absolutely remarkable. And so it gives me another spot in this garden that kind of pulls away from all the greens that we have. And then you can see back here, this is one I talked about. We have this dappled willow back here that I need to replace or cut down, and because it wants 6+ more, that's another one of our plants that we don't need to do anything with it. But because it wants more sunlight underneath this tree, it will kind of get a balding spot here. I can shear that back to the ground and we'll get all this brand new growth. You can see we've got brand new growth right here and it's starting to fill it in. Whereas last season, we really got kind of bald right here. Anyway, let's move on, Jesse. I got one iris down here. I don't need the blooms. Irises are beautiful. I've got iris in the backyard, but sometimes I just want the foliage. And eventually those will need to come out because we got our evergreens growing up over here. I've got a little mounding habit of monkey grass. And then under here, I've got some Shasta daisies that would be happier if I trim this back. So after blooming, I might take this one out. But at the same time, I like the way this stays. So because the Shasta daisy, again, would like 6+ hours of sunlight, I might just move that over here by this other one. So, and then you can see there's some more over here. In fact, they're starting to build heads on there. So there's a lot of opportunities in a garden. I would tell you just to give yourself more credit. Go out there and give yourself a shot. I apologize if you've been following me for any length of time and you already know this, but I don't have any horticulture background, no design background, nothing like that. You'd be surprised what I did for a living. That being said, small space, both sides, start small. You don't have to go out there and buy a $200 red bud that's 10 feet tall. You can start smaller. It's going to take a little bit more time, but please give yourself credit. This little bit of space, you can do phenomenal work with. This space right here just absolutely makes me happy because this is the entrance to our garden and it blocks off all of our neighbors and it really gives a sound point. And I talk about the garden, the front side versus the back is like a mullet to me. No disrespect to anybody who's got a mullet, but obviously I can't say anything about hairstyles, but it's all like business in the front. It's just a nice clean slate. And then the party happens in the back. We're just really get fancy with what we're doing back there. And if you're new to the garden, stay tuned because we're gonna go back there and it's remarkable. We've got a birch tree here. When I first purchased this birch tree, I can't remember the name of it, but they said, be prepared if you plant this tree and it's got 4 branches, one eventually will die, maybe 2 branches will. It hasn't happened. This was the first plant we planted in, or the first tree of any sort that we planted in the garden up here. In fact, it was blank space all the way around. And so this was the first one and it still hasn't. Doesn't mean it's not going to, just means it hasn't. And that was probably 8 years ago. Do you remember the name of this? St. John's wort. So, no, yeah, St. John's wort. Huh? Yeah, yellow flowers. We did have a bald spot in here. I cut that out. It's starting to kind of fill back in. I suppose I can come and shear it back. My only fear is that if I do it, because it doesn't get the sun that it wants, it may not come back as full as it was or as it is now. So more planters. I picked these planters all up from Nebraska Furniture Mart on a really good, they were cheaper than anything I've at a nursery, at a box store. I couldn't believe how cheap they were. Some of these were, even this big one, 65 bucks maybe? This at a nursery is probably $300, if not more. These, I believe, were like $30, maybe 25, so good stuff. And then one of my favorite parts is walking around this corner here. We've got a Arizona blue spruce right here, I believe. Cypress, Arizona cypress. And then we have a Colorado blue spruce. That's what I was thinking. So 2 got off. Jess, do you remember the name of these purple plums? Plum. Sand cherry plum, yeah. So today, or when I start this sidewalk project, I never realized it until this winter, but I've got a weak point and this started to break. So this is going to come out and then I'll introduce that piece to the gate area. Stay tuned for that. That'll be fun. Right here's a double file viburnum. All the blooms have already been spent, but this is, they bloom on the top, which is funny because I've sheared this up into a tree form and I miss all the blooms. So if you're 6+ feet tall or 7 foot tall, you get to see this. But I love the way the petals fall down on the ground and whatnot. In fact, you can still see some spent petals. That's probably why I haven't filled this in just yet. I can literally let it go back to a shrub by leaving this here, or I can come back and shear those up, which I am going to come back and snap all these off just so it gives me some daylight, because we've got some hostas, got some hukra. The rabbits have ate most of the hukra. I don't know if you can see those three. I don't know what it is, but they've been in love with the hukra this year, and it's driving me nuts. I can spray them a billion times, and so for some reason. And then we've got the lamb's ear here. I've been talking for days about, or for videos about removing that from here and adding it to other spots in the garden. But it's like everything else in the garden. Some things just have to be put on the back burner. This is a weeping white spruce. Everyone asked about this. When I put it in here, we heard some neighbors go, "God, that ugly tree." I guess it just depends on what you find beautiful. And so I think this is amazing. I love the arch. I love all the craziness, and the weeping part of it. It's remarkable for me. I almost wish I wouldn't have planted this double file viburnum right here, just so it can showcase this spot. And in fact, the more this grows, the more the opportunity is I may take some more branches out. But I'm really trying to create this canopy effect so that when you walk through here, I've got a trumpet vine I need to kind of cut back, but when you walk through here, let me shut this gate for a second, and you can stay there, Jesse. You can see there, I'm trying to create a canopy so that it's just nice, fun coming through here, and it almost is enchanting. Is that the word I would use? Maybe enchanting, fairy tale like, but I think it's fun. Then of course we've got our wooden path walkway. Right here we've got some hostas. I've got Solomon Sill. That's my favorite perennial probably. That next to, in fact it is my favorite perennial, next to the hukra, because they're so easy to take care of, and I can add them to any spot. I almost feel like it needs to come out of this space, because even though they like the shade, they still desire some sun, and it just hasn't got to that point. Oh gosh, have I mentioned how I've got more planters that I need to get planted up? Probably. You'll see in here in the background, if you're following it for the first time, we've got several beds right here that we still want to add. We're thinking Nandina, we're thinking azaleas. It doesn't get much sun. We're going to add hostas and ferns, and this will be a nice little showcase. May have to wait till fall. One of you had suggested that, hey Mike, you don't have to do it all at once. Why don't you just backfill with mulch, let it sit there, and just wait until the time's right. So I like that idea. I'm a busybody, so that's why sometimes I go. But man, that's an actually really good idea. In fact, behind the planters behind me, there's another bald spot, and we'll figure it out. Just not today. But yeah, I really like that idea, and that's probably good advice for anybody who's trying to get things done right now. Sometimes you just have to kind of be patient and wait it out, find some other things to do, like planters. You can see we've got ferns coming through here. I don't know what these are. I bought these at Walmart last year. There's another section there, but they're doing really good, but they were really late to kind of come to life. So spring, when it sprung, everything was going crazy, and I actually removed a bunch of those because I thought they had no life to them. And then guess what? The few that I didn't replace are now super alive. So not very patient guy for sure. We've got, she shakes her head. We've got more hukra under here, and believe it or not, more rabbit damage. It's just been a season for it right now. The azaleas are just going out. That we have talked about maybe adding azaleas over there. We've talked about colors behind Jesse, and it's okay. You can stay over here, Jesse, but you're going to hear a bunch of baby birds. We've got robins and turtle doves and everything kind of on the ground right now. A lot of them have left the nest, and they're not ready to kind of take off just yet. But anyways, we talked about adding azaleas through the dark spots behind us in those beds. And I asked some color and what you thought about colors. A lot of you thought white would really brighten that spot up, but then you also say on the backside that they're not very pleasing to the eye once they start to kind of crumble out and go out of season. We have a honeysuckle here. Yes, this is the invasive Chinese, I believe, pardon me if I'm wrong, but the invasive Chinese honeysuckle. It really is kind of prevalent in the gardens around me and sidewalks and everything. So we just kind of take advantage. Same with the trumpet vine. It's almost everywhere in the garden. It doesn't mean it's right to continue to use it. It's just I'm kind of bending the rule here. But anyway, we try to do our best to keep this up off the ground and not let it take over. I know the trumpet vine's a lot different. That's how we ended up with trumpet vine. It happens to be in one garden and then it'll come up in your garden, and then sometimes though it just works the way we want it. But the yard is just fragrant as all get out right now because really smells good. This is on a pallet wall, meaning I cut down a bunch of pieces of pallet, put it on there, and it's just actually it's taking hold of and it blocks us from our neighbors. Right now I can see over my neighbor's fence, and so they can see everything we're doing. We can see everything they do. So on the other side of this pallet wall is our hot tub, and so we just try to give ourselves some separation. Oh, you see the little baby right there? Jesse actually pointed this out to me earlier. I didn't know she was still there, but there's a baby robin. They're just, like I said, they're all over the place. Right now, I am just going to tell you that this was supposed to be Hydrangea Hill. We do have some hydrangeas in here. They're just not performing like I would like them to. In fact, I buried these lilies last season with all this soil and did not know they were down there, and they've all come up, and it's crazy because that's probably a foot deep and they still made their way to the top. But anyway, pan towards the rest of the garden right there. Is that not just remarkable? I cannot believe we were able to do this. So I tell you up front, if you have that small space and you're discouraged because you think you need a ton of space to create a garden, I'm gonna repeat myself a couple times. So instead of going towards the shed, Jesse, let's come this way, just because I want to share that visual that you don't need a ton of space. If we just look right here, from the house to this garden to the moon gate, we're less space from that distance than we were up front. If that makes sense. And if you're telling yourself, no way, yes, we've created multiple gardens. So if I'm sitting on this patio right here, or we're up on the top deck cooking, or just visiting, watching a ball game, whatever it is that we're doing, we can look out here and we've got multiple vantage points. But right here, it kind of closes off. Once you meet the moon gate, you can see all of our conifers, evergreens right through here. We've got some deciduous shrubs, barberries, Frankie boy. But just in this little bit of space, we've created another garden. So you have that front garden, we have the other garden on the west side, and then this space right here, if only you have, even if I went from the deck, let's say from the deck to here is maybe 15 feet. I did have Deanna from Gardens Glory, check her channel out if you'd like. She came and visited us when everything was kind of dormant. She did a video of our garden, and her words were just like, I can't believe your garden is as big as I thought it was. I expected it to walk back there and it just be a really long landscape, and it's not. It's a lot smaller, but you can trick the mind. You can give illusion to what you're working with just by adding different things, allowing a tree to give you this canopy, and then it's like, oh man, that's a huge backyard, but it's not. It really is. It's hard to explain, but you give yourself the mindset that you can still add a bunch of things. This pathway, this creek, we've done so much. We've got planters, we've got deciduous. Like I said, we've just got a lot going on. Even our hardscape, everything has worked cohesively to give you guys that illusion, that mindset that the garden is monstrous. So I'm going to stop right here for 2 seconds, let Jesse's arm kind of give her a break. Plus, can you pan up to her? So those of you who know Hey Hey, and she broke her leg, so she's not allowed to be in the garden. She broke her leg um, welcoming mom home from the garden. Spell her name. So those of you guys who've asked us several times how to spell it. H-E-I-H-E-I. So there you go. I just wanted to make sure I was going to spell it right. Anyway, so Hey Hey really wants to come down here and be in the video. So we're going to take a pause for a second, let Jesse's arms break, and then we'll get her down here to go potty. But she's got a cast on, so she's a little pirate running around chopping at the concrete. All right, let's go ahead. Okay, so those of you who are new to the channel, this is Hey Hey. You can see she's got a little cast on her foot. Plus, she just got spayed, so we already had it in the book, so we had to have it done. She's getting to that age, but she's had a horrible month and a half, a couple weeks. Yeah, so I'm going to set her down, but she's not supposed to get too aggressive. Anyways, she'll follow us around. Jesse went out and got her a stroller, a little doggy stroller, so people are probably thinking we just had a kid. But nope, we just got her a stroller. Anyway, oh, the bird's gone. Oh, here comes the mama. Anyway, so back to the point. Give yourself more credit. You guys can, small space, you can still make it look beautiful. I think this is just speaks for itself. You don't have to have it all done today, but you can go out and get you some quart-sized plants, some just you can go out there and look at clearance plants. There's so much that you can do to give yourself this opportunity. If you want to walk this way, Jesse, I'll probably have you go up on the deck. So this deck, for instance, I believe this is a Japanese bloodgood. A neighbor across the street was leaving and he was kind of neglecting the yard. So I went over there and offered him some money, and he was just like, nope, you don't have to pay me. You can take this. This was a couple years back. My wife calls it the pond blocker because she wants to sit up there and look at the pond. Now she can't, but I think it really just eliminates our neighbors from right here. So we've kind of tussled back and forth. I don't know that she'll actually ever win this one because I really like how it looks as she gives me the look. But I'll have you come up here and I'll come down, but I want you to just kind of look at the creek and then the pond, because I'm telling you guys, you don't need a whole bunch of space to create your ideal garden that works and suits you. Right to your right with these little faint flowers that are coming in, this is a little Henry Spire. It looks like we've got to pull some moss. We've got string algae in this creek. It happens every spring, and then we pull it out and it'll be good to go. That back there is Clethra vanilla spice, I believe. Then we have another Japanese maple. I'm going to come in here and kind of trim up our evergreens right here just to kind of pull it back so you can really see the creek. And then if you want to come back over here to the pond, you'll see that I have the pump just flowing up there, pardon me. The reason why is because I want that sound, not just for the camera, but it blocks out a lot of the I-35 is just about a mile and a half from us, so you can hear the interstate if the wind's just right, plus the neighbors, all these vehicles and stuff. Sometimes to create this garden on Sundays, for me to just come back here and block out the world, the noise of these water features really works out well. Oh my gosh, look at Hey Hey. I'm telling you guys that these dogs are anyway. So yeah, so she's laying in some winter creeper. That's what's growing through there. And then also too, we have some sedum that's going over our border right there. Anyway, the creek or the pond area back there, I still need to get finished up. We just built that in there. I like how it really just kind of goes and hides into the, it looks like when the water feature comes to life, it's going to be just kind of flowing through from somewhere mysterious, right? So that will give us a great opportunity to create more illusion in the garden. We will be going out and getting some fish. Timing is everything. Timing is everything. Probably next to this Arizona blue ice right here. The most asked question. Oh, and there is a dead branch. If you get back on that, there, you can see this dead branch. This branch, sometimes that happens with them. I've only left it because we have a nest. In fact, you probably won't be able to see it too well, but there is a nest with a bird in it. So we're leaving that there. She started her nest about 30 days ago, so that'll stay there. But this is probably the next biggest question as far as trees, shrubs, plants go, is what is this? And Jesse probably.
Ivory halo dogwood.
Yeah, so okay, so if you're wondering, should you plant it or not, I can tell you that it will take off. The actual original plant was right back here. You can see that, but you can see where it's sent up all this new growth. I like it. It's not gonna go anywhere. It's gonna stay right in here. If it just so happens to come up on the other side, I will be removing it. But right now, I just absolutely love this spot. It really, this variegated look, just kind of just gives a different color. It breaks up all the blues and greens and purples. You can see here we got a Japanese maple back there. Look at the way those two colors just blend. I mean, they just romance this space so well. I've got some hostas down here that I've transplanted out of the garden. I've got this big rock that I took out of our water feature over here. I need to still get it out of the way. Just need my son to come home. Jesse, as you come through here, we'll go around, but you can see the visual. So one of the most important pieces to creating a garden, in my opinion, I'm sure design people will tell you opposite, but is your sidewalk, your path, your trail, your however it is you're going to get from point A to point B. I think that's probably the most important, because you can build up around it. And so some people would say put in your large trees first. Again, everybody has an opinion. Gardening is fun because you can do it the way you want to. Don't just listen to Moxie Gardens and say, this is how he did it, so this. But I think the trail and the winding habit, I did start with bigger trees because I didn't know I was going to be creating this piece of art. I got sucked into that feeling. So the trees we did put in, the larger trees on the outside, and then little by little we got clay soil, so I'm digging up stuff and I need to find a spot to put the soil, and then I would put it somewhere in the grass. And I was like, oh, well, I'll create a garden bed right there. Before you know it, I'm adding bridges and light fixtures and that type of stuff. But if you can see, did you get the iris right through there? And the reason why I brought up this path is because if you give it windows, kind of pan up. Do you remember what that plant's called, that tree?
Tiger's Eye Sumac.
Tiger's Eye Sumac. Gosh, she's so good, guys, and she don't even like gardening. But this is part of it. So I've got all these evergreens here that block out and kind of create a hidden spaces, and then all of a sudden you have a creeping window, a window that you can look out throughout the garden. And what's fun about what we're doing with these trails in the garden space is that once you get to the grassy area, you can no longer see, for the most part, anything going on around you. In fact, you don't even know there's a trail. So you get all those different garden spaces. So Moxie Gardens, because we have different gardens throughout our landscape. So anyway, we've been working on this. We had an individual that met us through our channel, and she had a bunch of ferns, so she dug up a bunch. Thank you very much, ma'am. She came through and gave those to us, so we met. I've put them in the garden. If you can imagine this little well right here. Again, I've got to work on that space back here. So I've got the spray here, the spray foam. It just has to come and fill in these gaps so that the water will fill up here and then spill over that stone into the next puddle and then spill over. Because if I leave any space where the water won't come to the top of this to spill over, it runs underneath. Well, then it doesn't give that waterfall effect. And then the water is seeping through versus rushing over. And so that's what I'm going with. You can see we planted some Irish moss lately in one of our recent videos. Coleus, we've got some ferns in here. These ferns, pardon me, hostas, we're going to flare out so it doesn't just look like it's just put in there by humans. If that makes sense. We want it to look more natural. So I'm going to have it flare out back there and here, and that'll really soften the image up versus it just being, oh, there it is. So this is one of our most watched videos. We have a couple that have a little over 100,000 for our little channel here, which is super surprising. But when we built this Hobbit door and this little Hobbit place, I think we have a little over 100,000 views on that. So a lot of people put in advice and things they would do, and that's what's fun about this gardening channel. We've kind of taken some of the things that you guys have shared, and it created new visions for this part of the garden. But anyway, we just moved this coleus, or pardon me, this clematis from another part of the garden. So it's been transplanted twice. I did it in probably the beginning of March, and then we put it on the shed. Wasn't performing the way I wanted it to, so then we removed it, and now it's here. I can see it just kind of coming in here and owning this space and really calming down the actual structure of our little creation here. Solomon seal again, we're repeating, so that's another thing. If you're new to gardening, continue to repeat the same plants throughout your garden for a more cohesive look. The iris right here I've already bloomed out, so this now will have to be cut back here soon in order to give me new growth, so it will continue to stand tall. Otherwise it's probably going to flop because it wants a whole bunch more sun. In fact, I could almost remove this from here and put it in a different spot in the garden, because it's literally got as much sun as it can handle, or as much sun as it's going to get for the rest of the day. I still need to get my water feature on. Oh my gosh, look at her. So this is how, oh, okay. Well, I was going to show you how she sits. She sits like she's been through the worst life ever. It's so cute. Well, I'm sure we'll capture it again. Gazing balls, we just kind of put in this Pachysandra right here. Those gazing balls and the suns, everybody asks me, where do you get the suns? Where do you get the gazing balls? Just local nurseries. You can find those. If you have a local nursery, you can almost find those. If not, just go on to Amazon.com and you could probably find those, a ton of those. Oh, looky here. She's been through it all, guys. I promise you, she looks like life has just been. Of course, she's only 5 months old, so her 2 surgeries already. So I'm sure thinks she's been through it all. We will speed. So we reached the 90s one day. I think it actually got to like 88. So I don't think we actually hit the forecasted number, but this week is all supposed to be in the 70s and low 60s. In fact, one night our low for overnight is like 44, I believe. So windows are open on the house, turned off the AC. That we had to turn it on for 2 days of high temperatures, maybe today. But that being said, once that 90s comes in, our pansies will go out, and we'll be adding something completely new to our window boxes. Those of you who don't know, this is our chicken coop. Our chickens will be here on July 1st. Jesse, what are they?
Silver lace lion rock.
Yeah, so they're going to be beautiful. We do have permits that we have to use here in town, so we cannot have roosters, and we can have no more than 5 chickens. So at least I can bring a little bit of the farm to the city, and so that'll be interesting once we become parents of that. We've got I said cookies and cream last time, but I think is it cookies and cream? Yeah, honeysuckle. Either way, we've got a little trellis. I took some hog wire and used it in multiple spots of the garden. So this is really going to fill in. We planted it last season, I believe, in sometime about this time last season. So we've got 1 season out of it, right? So next season, I can assume that it will just go and rest on top of our shed, really just make this Hobbit door feel cohesive in the hardscape. And I just keep coming out here ever so softly and guiding these leaves, or these branches, the vine itself, to grow over, because I really want it to own this space, and that'll be fun. Below it, we've added a whole bunch more variegated monkey grass, and we've extended it this season. Last season we had ajuga right through here. This absolutely makes sense right here. And then we have a bunch of hydrangeas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are, what are they? Bloomstruck. Bloomstruck, so this should have purple/pink blooms. You can already see they're starting to fill in real nice. But this is fun. This, again, bringing the country to the city is always fun. We've gone through and we've added just a little bit of everything. More whimsy. You probably, if you didn't find me because of the moon gate, you found me probably because in the search bar you probably put something whimsical or something like that. We're always trying to do something fun here in the garden and just mix up gardening from the traditional. It feels like a lot of people tend to gravitate towards cottage gardens. I love a cottage garden, little white picket fence and little, I absolutely love them. I'm kind of staying away from that because that is so traditional, and I want to kind of put my stamp on what we can do here in our garden. Plus, I have a ton of trees that will eventually be large enough into this garden that you'll canopy this grassy area, which means I'm going to have a ton of shade, which means a lot of those sun-loving cottage garden looks, plants, annuals, that type of stuff probably won't be super successful here. Again, I can go through cottage garden and just fall in love with them. I love seeing those in people's yards. I love seeing those when we travel. I love, it's such a pronounced garden view whenever I can see those. I love the white picket fence. You can never go wrong with the white picket fence. I love that. So we're actually doing old cedar post and stuff that's broken down and a little bit of rust, and hey, that's a side of the road find and things that you wouldn't typically see in a garden. Maybe somebody's trash ends up being in this garden and we figure out a way to do it. In fact, we had a fire pit that rusted out that somebody had thrown away on the side of the road. I picked it up, brought it home, and turned it into a planter. We haven't planted it up this season along with the other planters. Hey, you doing okay? Jesus. And then right here we've got Baptisia. I think this is its 3rd year. So we're still waiting on the blooms to really take off. It takes some time. This one's purple. This one's slightly blue. I have a lot of purples and blues in the garden, especially along this wall. I really like that color because it plays so well up against our red and yellow dwellings back here. These are cedar posts that we just got off of the marketplace. I could just do a video on her alone. Look at this. I mean, she just flops down everywhere. Okay. If my garden don't win you over, maybe Hey will. So, but we got some salvia. We'll go over there here in a second. Here's the entrance to our coop. You can go back and look at our coop. So much information. Some of you guys have been around chickens and raising that livestock and whatnot for so long. You guys gave me a ton of new advice. In fact, I even went on, started following TikTok a little bit just to learn more about chickens and stuff. We've had them in our past. In my youth, I had them. Times have changed, so much more technology and safekeeping. I mean, we didn't have back then. We didn't have electric door openers and the things that we have now. But alliums are almost out. A lot of you have said go back, cut those down, or spray paint them. That might be a possibility, but I really like just kind of like the structure feel of the whole thing. I think it looks really, really sharp through here. It actually really played well when we put in this new fence in January, February, whenever it was. And then we have a ton of hydrangeas. Don't even know the names of some of these hydrangeas because we transplanted them from the front of the yard, put those in way before I was doing YouTube videos. So now I have to know what I'm planting in order to share it with you, because those questions do come up. A lot of you, this is another one of those questions, the Halo Dogwood, the Arizona Cypress, and then what are these tall linear trees? These are Taylor junipers. There's 3 more. If you look over by that Japanese maple just by the moon gate, you can see that there's 3 more over there. So we've just continued She's got a tiptoe around. Hey, I guess she's exhausted again. But those are really good. Those three up there are supposed to get like something like 30, 40 feet. So once tall, not wide, tall. But once all of our trees around us continue to grow, everything will have a symmetric look to it. We have, oh, what are these? These are, let's see, Quickfire. Quickfire, sorry, I had to look at the cheat sheet over there. That's the tags on it. So we got Quickfire here. This is gonna fill in and bloom. So when we look through that moon gate, you're gonna really get to see the blooms because this is elevated space. This is, if I was standing at the moon gate, we would be about 3 feet lower than this space right here. This is the tallest part of our garden. Plus we built up this garden bed, filled it in with iris, and then you probably can't see, there's just little faint spots of lamb's ear. Eventually those lamb's ear is just gonna fill in this space. And so again, I'm not so worried. I got one single bloom from last season. Did you get that, Jesse? So one single iris bloom, and that's okay. I really love the look of iris. I think the blooms are great. They're just so short-lived that you can almost take a vacation and never even knew they bloomed. And so that being said, I really like the structure of iris and the way they just kind of add another piece to the garden. So if you can imagine for a minute, all the lamb's ear tucked up nice and warmingly giving that a good view in that garden bed. And then, not to mention the lamb's ear coming over and draping itself over here and softening up all this hardscape. Again, if you're wondering, if you're telling yourself, well, I can't garden the way, you know, I see other gardens or Moxie Gardens garden, I want to get to somewhat of a point like him or be better, then don't sell yourself short. These are just wooden posts sitting on the ground. Some of them are probably a little bit deeper, maybe no more than 6 inches. And then we're round posts. All I did was get these at Home Depot. These ones are from Home Depot. Pardon me, Home Depot. We've cut these down into different lengths. And then on the round post here, all we did was come through and went to a hardware store, Bumgar's, right next to us. And then we got some of these posts. We got them in diameters of like 12, 10, and 6. And then we just cut those posts. I used a chainsaw, but you can use other saws, or you can have somebody cut them up. And then just come in here and we just duplicated what we did with here. We just kind of set it on the ground, maybe a little bit deeper depending. And then we built all of our soil up on the front side. So by elevating that side, now I can allow eventually, because this is kind of new, this fence post and what we're doing, or these, these fence posts, we're going to come back here and we're going to add a bunch of ground covers and whatnot to this space so that it drapes over. In fact, I've got several spots. If you remember in one of our earlier videos, it's not performing so well because the rabbits once again, but we've got a Japanese forest grass right here. So you can imagine it'll get big and it'll kind of be in the walkway because we plant so tight. And we've talked about this in other videos. So it's just a continuation of other videos, but it could be redundant at sometimes, but this garden is small enough that I have to have something to share with you. But we've planted so tight that things brush up against you. If you look here, I've got a Japanese maple and I've got a golden barberry right here. We'll go back and we'll cut this barberry because there are little spikes on here that can get you. But I'll cut back, say right here, and then the next plant I might take back a little bit further. And by going and doing different things, different cuts, it doesn't feel as though I just sheared this off, you know, just came through and sheared it off, and it doesn't give that hedge look. It still gives that wild look, which again continues to add to that element of surprise when you're thinking, oh, that garden is huge. No, it's just the way things are tucked in and cut, how tall something might be, branching habits, that type of stuff, canopy habits. Speaking of canopy habits, we've got this Japanese bloodgood here. We've got several of those. If you can imagine, one day we're going to work with these branches and elevate, but I want it to canopy over here so that when you're walking through here, again, it lends its hand to the idea that this garden is bigger than it really is. And Maybe that's what I should just name this garden. That garden's not as big as it is. But all this is going to just kind of come right here, and it'll be a really, really showy space. Also, we pick out colors that play well with our structure. So this doesn't always have to be yellow. I can come down and plant it or paint it another color somewhere down the road. But I won't. If a new homeowner was to come in here and we, for whatever reason, was not here any longer, they could paint it, but they could always play off of the colors that we've, or myself, have given this opportunity, this space's opportunity. And plus it goes, again, really well with our barberry, really well with our creeping Jenny. And then it continues, right? We've got color all over the space. We just did this in a video. We planted up petunias in our little box that we made here, a window box here. We went down here with some winter creeper again. We want to keep this area not so busy looking, so we just did some ground cover that will just flush out and really look full right here. In fact, when we get to the front of the moon gate, I will give you, I forgot to share it with you guys, but I will give you guys what it looks like when it really is full and pronounced. But I will tell you that could be super aggressive in the south. So if you're thinking, oh, I want to go and check that out, double check with research, do your research. They might not even sell it in some places in the south because it is pretty aggressive. We planted a rose bush down there, a Don Juan. It's going to come up here. Thank you guys so much. I thought, again, because I don't have all that knowledge, I should have probably did my research, but I was under the impression once I lost the plastic bag and removed it, the wrapping around it would just kind of disintegrate, kind of work its way into the soil, and then all the sawdust. Well, those of you guys have actually given me a lot of information that that's not the case. That won't break down, and it'll kind of hamper, hamper the root's ability to kind of branch out. So we did go back, we removed that. So thank you so very much. In fact, one of you, and I do apologize, I can't remember all the information, but one of you said you have like something like 600 roses. Listen, if you're listening or reading this or watching this, send me some pictures to my email. That would be, I want to see that. That would look, my mind instantly went to a visual when you told me that. So send me, in fact, any of you guys that want to share your garden, send me pictures. I love it. I get so many emails from people sharing with me, even if it's just planters. I love that back and forth. This thing that I'm doing here, I love it, but there's no one to really share it with. That's not feel sorry for me, but there's really no one to share it with. The family comes to the house. They may or may not make a lap through the yard just to see what's new. And even then they probably don't know what's new, but I think they just do it sometimes just to make me feel good. But typically nobody comes to the yard unless there's somebody that's viewing this that wants to visit it, or somebody who's walked by and they just tell me how good it looks on the outside. I'm like, hey, feel free to come in. But really I'm kind of alone here on this gardening adventure here. So if you guys send me stuff and you guys are watching this, we are two peas in a pod, sort of, because you get what I'm putting out. In fact, I'm rambling, ain't I? But in fact, there's not very many of my friends. I think I have 2 friends and only like 4 family members, maybe 6 family members that even know about our YouTube videos. No one else in the family really knows about it. My in-laws don't know about it. There's just a lot of, I just keep it away from them, what we're doing here, because I don't want the algorithm to send what we're doing here to the wrong people. And I think sometimes they'd probably just be like, hey, I'm going to watch your video. But really, I mean, my mother-in-law will come here, and I said one time, hey, do you want to see a video? I was talking about my Instagram. Oh, Mikey, I see your videos or I see your yard all the time. I don't need to. So what we're doing here, I'm kind of alone on it, but it's still fun to share with you. So the point was, if you've got something to share and you would like to share it with me, I would be ecstatic. I love the interaction with you guys. Let's see, we've got hostas again. We've talked about narrow spaces. You can see the weigela kind of blending itself into here. We'll cut back. We'll do the same thing we did with the barberry. We'll cut at different lengths of branches so it doesn't look sheared off. It still gives it a natural look. In fact, we've done it for so many years that it still has a natural habit, but it's done blooming. It bloomed last month. I can come back through here, sure it up, and give me another look. But I really like the touch and feel of plants as we come through here. Remember what this is, Jess? 9-bark, Little Devil 9-bark. Yeah, so here's some blooms. Again, I will repeat myself over and over again. This would like a whole lot more sun than it's actually getting. There's new growth. It's still full. It's not reaching, or what I would say, it's not leggy. But what it is not blooming as profusely as it would if it got more sun. We've got a birch over me. We've got a lantern beside me. And then right where I'm facing would be the west. So it gets evening sun, but because we've got some branching habits above it, it's not getting the sun that it would like. Again, it's probably like the 9-bark, or pardon me, yeah, the 9-bark, the dappled willow, the St. John's wort, things that really want a ton of sun. And that's why I kind of went away from the idea of creating a cottage garden, because I'm just not getting the full sun. In fact, I'm not even sure that Don Juan is going to be as bloom as well as it would if it got a lot more sun. So I'm taking a chance. I still think it's going to get enough, at least 6 hours, but it's not going to get a direct 6 hours. So I am a little bit concerned. Right here, we have some more honeysuckle. Smells so good. If you pan up above us, we've got, and you're new to the garden channel, we've got light fixtures, railroad ties, tilling disc that used to be out, you know, farming equipment, some Spanish moss underneath. We've got some chicken wire. All of it kind of played well. We created these last year. Feel free to go and look back at last year's. I don't have a bunch of videos from last year or the year previous. I don't do a whole lot of it. Videos, just kind of into it this season. We're doing it, but this would have been a lighting project, so feel free to check that out. It looks really good. Where's she at? Oh my word, she's so exhausted. But yeah, come around. Again, more things that are branching habit. If you want to walk into that little, well, I guess we'll come back. Remember what this is?
Contorted filbert.
Yeah, contorted filbert. So we just call it Phil. Oh, Phil. So yeah, it's probably not doing much for you right now, but once it loses all of its leaves, the structure and the twining and the twisting, and it's really funky and it's awesome and I love it. It's a good piece for right here. It can get a lot bigger and will. Again, it gets all the sun at once after about 1 o'clock until the sun goes down, or right behind those trees. So it's doing really well. I love how it's incorporated itself around our lantern. If you recall, we did this earlier in the spring when things were just waking up and the branches were just a little bit around it, but now it's really kind of encompassing it and it looks really good. In fact, you can see here it's wrapped itself. Can you see that? It's kind of wrapped itself around the shepherd's hook. I think it's so cool. Sometimes you just plant something and let Mother Nature take care of the rest. Our light fixtures are all at different heights. So that one over there was considerably taller than this one. We just went up and down just to kind of give it a more funky twist to the garden. Is she okay? Hey, come here. Come here. Come here. This is actually the most she's got to play in the yard since she went into the cast. So she's probably wants this video to last forever. We went through and we planted up a ton of Brunnera right through here. That's going to just be awesome. I mean, awesome next season. I do got to appreciate it right now, but I'm telling you, once this fills out and it comes up against the sidewalk and it marries itself up against the tie, it's just going to look like it's been there forever. We've got an Annabelle hydrangea right here, and then we've got one over here, flanks both sides of the sidewalk. I absolutely think they're beautiful. They're probably wanting a lot more sun, especially morning sun, but it gets a lot of evening sun. But when they fill out, they're really, really sharp. This one's considerably taller because there's about a 2-foot drop, maybe even a little bit more, where this one down here is way low because I've created this garden bed to your it would be your right, Jesse, but I created this garden bed from the soil that we dug up to put in our creeks to manage our water throughout the garden. So this is built up probably a foot taller than the rest of the landscape. And it's probably it's probably our tallest bed or our highest bed. So it's still a work in progress. I feel like this is the one garden bed I can never quite conquer, but I think we're really close to doing some good things with here. We've got a Japanese maple here, that another blood good that we put in, that gives us like 5, I think, in the garden. And so we've got them in different spots that really help break up all the greens. And I can see this one day branching. And when we get over, I'll show you when we put it in, the first time we put it in, and how I envision this incorporating itself into the visual of the garden space. I've got another garden bed here that is empty, just haven't done anything with it. We've got some hostas back there. Back in the background, we've got, I think, Bobo or maybe Limelight hydrangeas, just not getting enough sun, but they'll still bloom out. They'll still do good, but not prolifically. Like, it won't be boom, but it still does really good job. You can see right now we're still early morning and it's getting a ton of shade. Below us we have Ajuga. Again, this is a nice look right here, and then that blank space back where all the soil is, we can literally go in with anything. I've done coleus a lot, and it always looks great through there, and I can actually whip this around. I have another garden bed. Oh yeah, we talked about that. If you want to come over here and just kind of make our way. Hey, come on. She's over by the planters. So we've got this little whimsical stairway or stepway through the garden. We've spent a lot of time last week. A lot of videos came from this spot because, again, we planted this up. If you can pan up here, Jesse, I can imagine the canopy. So we've got a red bud here. You can see we're not too far off. In fact, the branches right now of the red bud are actually over, I don't know if you can capture that, but over this blood good. But if you can imagine these branches giving a tunnel effect through here, again, it messes with the mind. It tells you this garden is way bigger than it is. So from your vantage point, this is going to be, oh God, that backyard's real deep, and it's really not. So below us, we have some more of that Brunnera, and I think I'm going to take out, yeah, it's right here. Sorry if I messed up your flow, Jesse. But you can see we get enough sun for the spirea. It's going to start blooming. But I'm not sure this is the perfect spot. And when I'm kind of contemplating, is this the right spot for it? I'm wanting to whip this Brunnera around through here, take it back up, and then start again on the other side. So there's a nice, good flow. But then I look at the spirea and I'm like, okay, it's blooming and it's still, so it's got to be happy, but then it'll start flopping after it blooms. And it will look like this. This is exactly the same thing, and it'll flop. And so it flops. Where's Hey Hey?
She's at the moon gate.
Oh, okay.
Like the end of the gate.
But this flops, and you can see how well how freaking much it flops. Again, it's got a bloom here, but this thing, it's got a ton of blooms, but what it's doing is flopping because it's really leggy, because it really wants additional sun. So those will probably be coming out. I'll introduce them somewhere in the front landscape at some point so that we can come back there. I'm thinking ferns. I think that'll be fun. We got hostas, and then we've extended, if you want to come out here, Jesse, we've extended the garden color right through here. These are orange rocket barberries. Oh man alive, they add so much color. And then you couple that with the layering of the green behind it. The Annabelle will have some color. I think I'm going to add one more element here, and then we're going to call this bed good. I've said that a million times. Of course, Hey Hey and her cast are just going to go through all of that, I guess. Anyway, then we went down here with some Ajuga. Are you kind of stuck in there? Let's come over here, sis. Oh. So then we went through the Ajuga and added that through here. I really went strong and really thick through here because we want to have a gorgeous look next season, and I want it to encompass itself. You can already see it starting to come up, and flirt with this little tricycle. I think that's going to be a remarkable view next season. We whipped that around. If you've been following me for any length of time or watched the last couple videos, we talked about doing some more lamb's ear in this pocket from here to here, and that's probably where I'll probably move it from the front yard where we talked about underneath that double file viburnum. We'll probably add it there, and I think that'll create more cohesive look through there. This is a pom-pom juniper. Real quick, if you're thinking about planting birch trees, there's a couple things you need to know. They will soak up all the water that you need it to soak up, but also too, it's going to soak up all the water that you don't want it to soak up. So if you've got things that you've planted and they like water underneath it, they like a drink of water and it stays for a while, they will take every bit of that moisture. Secondly, if it gets thirsty at all, you can see the ground right here, it's going to drop a ton of white leaves, so it's pretty messy. Again, it can look cute, it'll look good in your beds and stuff, but if you've got a lawn or anything like that, but it's going to drop all its a lot of leaves. It'll thin out pretty quick, and it's pretty messy when it comes to branches. I have branches, little, 1, 2, 3, 4 foot branches in the garden on a windy day anytime. Look at this. Again, if you don't like my garden, at least maybe you like my dog, my wife's dog. I mean, she's like, hey. So you can see her belly, it's all shaved up where she just got her baby making machine out. So, oh my gosh, she's so adorable. So she's got a cast on. They put the new cast on, so they took the little chickens off, they put that on, and then Jesse took an old sock and put it on there just to kind of keep it clean. But it's exhausting being her. I mean, I think she walked 17 steps before she decided to call it quits again. But we'll come back here and we're going to kind of clean up this pom-pom pretty quick, before it gets too hot. But we find a lot of these. I didn't mention that we did put that little coconut ledge up there with the purple heart plant. My desire is to see a robin or turtle dove put a nest in there. I always love creating opportunities. So we have a nest right here, and there's babies in there. I probably should have shared it with you a while ago, but you just make any kind of noise and they're reaching up trying to figure out where their next meal's coming from. You know what this is? Catmint. Yep, catmint nepeta. Then we put some Concord. We did this in a video recently too. Put some Concord barberry bushes in here just to give it that dark color. We have a ton of stone if you're wanting to build a border. We've got a ton of stone in front, but you only see it during the winter months. So depending on what stone you use, that can be some winter interest for you, especially when you start adding in all your conifers. It can still give you some color and look out in your garden if that's what you desire. This is salvia. Yeah, salvia. So you're still batting 100, I think. And then right here we have some more of the same hydrangeas. You can imagine for a moment when this kind of fills in this space, and it'll kind of be a mounding habit. We'll try to keep it off of the front side. Again, I'm gonna hope that this Concord reaches this way, pulls itself forward as these combine. And so if you can imagine, it'll kind of come in here and do that thing because it's gonna want more sun. And then this will encompass this space and it'll really kind of block down the bare spots that are in there, because I plant pretty heavy. I plant things real tight. Once the salvia goes out, I'll share that back and we'll get another flush later on in June probably. We've got the sedum here. The only bad part about this is it splits right where the plant starts when it gets too much moisture, and then maybe it would split anyways, but we have a sprinkler system on our grass right here. But I love the way it works so well with our stones. We planted up some lemon coral sedum. Nope, I do that every time. Some creeping Jenny. We planted up some creeping Jenny, and I planted it in threes. That's not for a visual look. I just want it to be pronounced faster. And so then I planted a bunch more than I needed to. I could have planted one here and one there, and in a couple of years it would be just fine. We've got a spot back there, I believe was two plants at one point. But again, that's going to come over and do the same thing the sedum does. The same thing the lamb's ear does. There's stones all around here. So if you're thinking about putting a border in, you don't have to do stone all the way around. You can just dot it in here and there. Some people would say do the same thing with your plants, do odd numbers. Again, your garden, your choice. That's just things that they would recommend that would be more pleasing to the eye. I say if it's something that you desire and you like, you do it the way you want. That's how we're doing it here at the garden too. Again, continuation. So all this is just symmetrically sound. I want it to, when you look through the moon gate, not to be too busy, but at the same time, just have a lot going on, if that makes sense. So probably not, as my wife looks at me like, what are you talking about, sir? Again, we'll bring over some of this lamb's ear into this space. Here is that Don Juan, and it's, if you can come in on that. Okay, it's a rose, right? We're not going to act like this is anything spectacular, but that color, as it starts to grow down this line, coupled with the background of the barberry, the black of the chicken cage, I think it's going to really be a remarkable piece. It'll definitely be really good for our Instagram. That will be really fun. Sorry if I'm repeating something that you've heard a couple times, but if you are brand new to the channel, feel free to go in and look at our Instagram as well. It's Moxie_Gardens. One video went viral. We have a little over 3 million views. And then another one has a little over 1 million views. I think we're up to like 34,000 followers. So it's fun. In fact, I had the most remarkable thing happen the other day. Someone followed me and I just could not believe. Jesse, do you remember who it is?
Valerie Bertinelli.
I about lost it. So Valerie followed me and I was like, no, that's the craziest thing. And not to mention, I mean, if you're watching this and you're up here, I'm not leaving you out, but Valerie that was awesome. That was amazing. Again, we've repeated, so the plants, when I talk about using plants and stone borders to continue, she's right over here, to continue the flow throughout the garden to make your garden feel more cohesive, we've added some more of our borders, and you can see here. And another fun element about adding borders is you can plant in front of your border. So most people would plant a border and then, or put your border in and then only plant behind it. Mix it up, do both sides. That can really add an element. And so you can see here, look at how gorgeous that looks. How this just comes well. We planted up here as well. We've got a couple more Henry spires. And then the water drains from our landscape from, if you want to pan over here, Jesse. So the water would start up here and flow this way. And so I get a lot of water over here. So we just created a makeshift creek, no liners under it, no plastic under it. If you're brand new to garden, just go out. Don't go out and spend the extra cost on liners, fabric. Just go get you some cardboard, free cardboard from any of your box stores. When they're working merchandise, they'll typically let you take it right off their hand. Pull the tape off. If it's got, some ink or anything on there, try to remove that. But you can literally lay it down. It'll suppress anything that's underneath it, whether it's grass, weeds. Add your mulch, add your rocks, whatever. And then before too long, everything will break down. Anything that was underneath it should be gone. And you'll just really add a better feel to your garden than that fabric, because that fabric eventually, everybody thinks that because you put fabric down, there's never going to be any weeds. Well, the weeds are going to blow on top of that. Your trees are going to send out their little helicopters. People say there's always going to be something on top. Dandelions and everything is always going to So it's always going to blow in. It's going to set in between your rocks, or if you have mulch, it's going to sit in there, and you don't ruffle that up. Whatever was down below is going to create that same habit above. So save your money, probably $20 for a 50-foot roll or a 100-foot roll. Just save your $20 to go buy you a plant. Tiger's Eye sumac. The iris is below. We're on the opposite side of that sidewalk now. You can probably see little windows of it, little pockets of the sidewalk. Then we've got more hostas. We've got another Japanese maple, if I remember. This is not a Bloodgood. If I remember, I really love the color too. If I remember what it is, but I can foresee this canopying back towards the grassy area. And I think that's going to continue to play well with the garden. We have monkey grass underneath it. I am a fan of monkey grass, but only during the summer months. In the winter and then the late or even late spring, it takes forever. So that's just starting to wake up when everything else is pretty much either bloomed or, it's just so late to get to the party. Then we have more hostas through here. Our moon gate, of course, probably the most iconic part of our garden. My brother made that. I drew up the design. He's a welder in Texas. Sorry if you've already heard that a billion times, but people ask all the time. There's new viewers all the time. And then one last little bit, and then we'll wrap it up. But Jesse, if you want to come over here, I wanted to show them how this winter creeper, if you swing over on this side, how this winter creeper softens up the space. So on that shed back there, that's what we planted underneath. There is a stone under here. Look at that stone. And so I want it to encompass same way with this. Now, if I allow this winter creeper to get into the garden any further, it's just going to continue to stretch until you make it go away. So what do you say? Is that a video? Is that pretty good? Guys, thank you for watching. Feel free to type in your favorite part of the garden. Hey, got a lot of video time. Those of you who have been asking, hopefully that helps. Again, those of you who might have missed the video, say a little prayer for Willow. She was our rescue 10 years ago. She wasn't looking right. Jesse took her in, and she was given less than, about 2 months. She's got what kind of cancer? Lymphoma. So you know how it is losing fur babies. She'll always be in our heart, just like Moxie. That's how we came up with the name Bella and all the other ones that we've ever lost. So it's such a tragic moment to what we're doing here, but she's getting a ton of walks. She's actually getting table food like she's never got. She's getting that ice cream pup cups, and we're just trying to give her letting her go out, with the flames. So super exciting about the garden and whatnot, but sometimes there's those downfalls. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye now.